Hello, everyone. Namaste, and welcome again to another episode of GrowthFit interview series presented by CustomFit.ai. My name is Nischala Agnihotri. I sort of handle the content part supporting CustomFit.ai. And quickly, a little bit about CustomFit. We are a personalization engine, and we help B2B companies to convert website traffic into quality leads. What the tool does is it helps you change pages and content on your website dynamically, change the CTAs based on user personas, past behavior, and the best part is it's a no-code platform for marketers to dynamically create hyper-personalized experiences that help lift conversions. And today our guest is Rony Vexelman, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So he's VP Product Marketing at Optimove, and we'd love to hear a little bit about how your work goes and how does the day of a product marketer looks like, pretty much either at Optimo or even before. How does an ideal day look like?
The question of $1,000. First of all, it's a pleasure to be a host, or to be not a host, hosted in this, a guest in this in this podcast.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys inviting me and thinking that I have something of value to bring to your audience. So hopefully your audience thinks the same thing after this session. I think that it's very difficult to say how an ideal day of a PMM looks. A product marketer, just by the sheer role and the connections that it has to different teams, just has very different days in its life. You could be working closely with product on a upcoming release, and sitting in meetings that products having with R&D, sitting in ideation and in sprint review meetings, and kind of like trying to understand what we actually plan to build going to look like in the end. There's also a part of it where you could be spending days just sitting with yourself, a lot of soul searching on what is the right way to communicate what you want to communicate to your audience. And then there's a lot of time that goes into research and understanding your customers, your market, what's next, what do they need, and how can you bring value to them. I don't think that there's an ideal, day structure. I can tell you how I take it. Usually, starting the day early with just trying to clean up my inbox. We're a global company, so sometimes we have emails from different time zones coming in. So just making sure that I'm on top of things, making sure that I know what meetings I'm having the same day, that I'm prepared for them, and then starting meetings. It could be meetings again with a team of product. It could be meetings with the team of customer success. It could be meetings with the team of sales. And then usually in the afternoons, it's more about getting myself the time to work on whatever deliverables I might have to present. So I think that that's an early thing. My personal hack is that I don't have any notifications, not on my phone, not on my computer. So,
wow.
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, you were talking about your personal hack, and welcome back.
Sorry, yeah, my internet played a trick on me.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say my personal hack is simply not having notifications, not on my phone, not on my computer, being able to, when I'm sitting down and trying to focus, to not be disturbed by other things. I always say that if somebody has to find you, they'll find you. So I think that every PMM should have that in their book, simply because at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time in meetings, and we have to make the most of the time that we sit down with ourselves to create content.
That must be a difficult hack to, implement. I mean, that's something that we could definitely learn as a personal hack from you. And go, if I could proceed with my next question, I was actually going through your website, and I know Optimove since 2019, I guess, because I've been exploring the space of CDP since 2018, and I bumped into Optimove in that context. And I really love the representation on the website, and I want to learn a little bit more about it. There are a lot of circles, squares, scattered dots, lines. What is it all about, the shapes? What's the thought that's gone behind this brand story?
So that's all the kudos go to our design team. So for those of you who are not familiar with Optimove, we're a multi-channel marketing hub with a very strong CDP core. So that means that we basically can take we can take all your data, model it, create customer models that can help you better segment, better personalize, and then better reach your customers at scale. So when our design team took on the challenge of looking at how we rebrand ourselves and change our view or the feel of the Optimove brand, right? And what design elements do they use? They came up with this concept that if we are a company that focuses on helping others be data driven, then why not build something that reminds you of that data aspect? And data can be a bit abstract sometimes, and data has a lot of, let's say, rules to be used effectively. So what they came up with is basically an algorithm. And what you're seeing on our website is the transformation of the algorithm into shapes and visuals. Basically, they have rules that function similar to a mathematical algorithm when you're looking at data, and that's how we decide what elements to put on our website and whatnot. We think it's very cool. I think you think it's very cool.
Yeah,
and
I guess we all think it
it,
seems to be working.
yeah, it seems to be working. We get a lot of very good feedback on it. We're very happy with it. And I think it also talks a bit about Optimum as a company being able to take a bit more risks, having an
Mm.
abstract design, an abstract feel to its brand, and not only, the normal stock photo, stock image, let's put someone smiling, looking
Mm.
at their phone kind of
Mm.
kind of brand.
Awesome. That takes a lot of internal thinking and brainstorming to actually get to that. It's like breaking up an algorithm into shapes and presenting it as your brand representation. That also takes a lot of audacity to actually present that, put that among people, and it's high risk, right? So I also got curious about this term that was there on your website, and since CustomFit is a personalization engine, and we somewhere, we have that in our DNA standard, right? Whenever we look at the word personalization, we sort of get stuck to it. So I'm curious to understand, what does this term called hyper-personalized CRM marketing plan mean? So this is very deeply associated with Optimove all across. So what does that mean?
So I think that, it starts with where you want to start as a marketer. Optimove sells to B2C marketers, customers like Staples, customers like Dollar Shave Club, John Hardy, and also in the gaming world, Entain, FunStage, Penn National, and much more. So all of these brands have one thing in common. They have tons of data on their customers, and they want to speak to their customers in their customers' terms. Now, a lot of people say that, and I don't think that a lot of people understand what that means.
Mm.
Marketers, in my, if I simplify the marketing world, there's marketers who, in the B2C marketing world in specifics, but even also the B2B one, there's product focused marketing, meaning I'm going to lead with my product. I have to sell this t-shirt. I have to sell this software. I have to sell this specific feature or this upsell. And there's customer-focused marketing, which is what does my customer need, and let me tell them or let me meet them with a message or an offer or something that's right for them. And when we talk about hyper-personalized marketing, what we mean is the second, is starting your marketing. Okay, I think
We're good.
I lost you for a second again. We're good? Okay. So when we're talking about starting your marketing from your customer, exploring your customer, understanding the insights, creating hyper granular segments. I was just talking to one of our customers today, and they had most of their segments were smaller than 0.4% of their whole database. And you're talking about a database of thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of customers. So it's really creating these hyper granular segments that allow you to, one might not have more than 10, 20, 50 customers in a segment, but you want to do that in order to be able to be very personalized to them. Now, it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of thought into how do you orchestrate all of this, and that's why something like Optimove might be ideal for these customers because of the way that we approach orchestration with AI, similar to you guys using personalization through AI. And I think that at the end of the day, for me at least, it's the only way to go forward. If you want to delight your customer, if you want to make your customer understand that you as a brand care for her or for him, then you have to create this granular approach to marketing. And that's what hyper-personalization is about. Creating those hyper segments that allow you to give a very specific message at the right time to your specific customers.
So that's interesting. And so this is a question for those who probably don't believe in customer-led journeys, or they say that it is for those parts of the marketing team who are involved into branding and content. They work with buyer personas. They sort of shy that away, especially performance marketers probably say, I want to play with numbers. It's not really the emotional strata of my customer, right? So tell us a little bit more about why do we need customer-led journeys, and what is that tangible impact to either a B2B or a B2C business? What according to you, is that tangible aspect that we can tie back to any customer-led journey?
Well, I think that I'll answer that by talking about the opposite. And the opposite of a customer-led journey is a marketer-led journey. It's basically what we've become accustomed to thinking as a customer journey, where you can easily map lines between one activity to the next. And you could say, my customer is going to visit my website, they're going to abandon my cart. An hour later, I'm going to send them a reminder. Did they open the reminder? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. I want to send them did they purchase? No. I want to send them a push notification, and so on and so on. Now, the problem with this approach is that you as a marketer are locking your customers into what you think is ideal for them and not into what is ideal for them. At the end of the day, you're creating you're finding the minimum common denominator of all your customers, and you're saying, that's what I'm going to build. But that's not ideal. Even if you do, and there's some marketer that will say, well, I'll A/B test things, and at the end of the day, I'll choose option A or option B or option C or whatever, the winning option for all my customers. Well, but even there, you have customers who preferred the option that didn't win. So why are you forcing all your customers to go through something, be it a journey or be it a specific treatment within that journey, that they didn't want in the first hand? So I think that we talk a lot about two concepts. One is the concept of broken journeys. Imagine somebody who bought a product and you put them in journey, and it could be for B2B the same thing. Somebody who signed up for your free trial maybe, and you put them in a nurture campaign, in a nurture drip, right, where they're getting periodic emails of how to use your product. But they could have either, if it's a physical product, returned it. If it's a SaaS product, canceled. Now, most marketers will continue giving to that person the emails on the welcome journey. The reason being, because if you lock them in to a marketer-led journey, they're going to go through it until the end.
Mm.
Now, you could say, well, I'm going to beat that, Ronnie. That's an easy example. I'll just put an exit point every single time saying people who canceled should be taken out of this. Well, imagine how many permutations you have, right? If each time you split it, you're going to have to put that little note there, then it's not going to work. So we take another approach and we say you should do it customer-led. Again, create these granular moments, these granular segments, and let your customers say. Now, there's something similar to it. You're going to have one customer moment, one granular segment is going to be my VIP customers who abandoned my cart yesterday. And the second one might be my VIP customers who abandoned the cart 3 days ago and still haven't purchased that item, right? But you're going to also be able to not have them connected by a line that says, if you got the one, you have to get the other. No, let them get what they need. And let in our case, AI decide what is best for each one. Now, that would solve broken journeys. The other option is clashing journeys. What happens when it's not customer-led, when it's marketer-led? The marketer, many times, will set up 3, 4 different journeys. So, for example, we talked about cart abandonment, we talked about post-purchase, and we could have something on the birthday. What happens if Ronnie falls in all 3 journeys at the same time? So we have a blog, and I'm not going to say from what brand because it'd be very rude. But we have a blog where a brand sent 20 emails in one day to the same person. Now, why did they do that? Well, the person triggered every single thing that the brand had set up, and they were in multiple journeys at the same time. That's a marketer journey. And the marketer going like, I did my job. This person got emails. He's probably even happy because that person probably opened the first few and was like, oh, I'm getting good things because I'm measuring open rates. Problem is that ends up crossfiring, right? All these messages are very different messages that end up confusing your customer and creating bad experiences. The way we take it is, again, create those granular moments. Don't force customers to take through it and let AI decide what is the best message of all the eligible messages for a customer at the right time and at a given time. If you do it that way and you start from your customer, not from your product, and you, instead of trying to decide what is best for the next step for your customer, you just create the steps and let AI and your customer decide what is best for them, I think you're going to come into a better customer experience and more and increased loyalty from your customers. My humble opinion, but that's the way we look at it. By the way, Optimove preaches what it does what it preaches. Apologies. We use Optimove for our B2B marketing, for our user marketing as well, and it works. We see very good results from it.
Yeah, it sounds like it was very insightful because when you were talking about the broken journeys, it sounds like if it's a marketer-led journey, then you're actually causing the customer to abandon your cart and go away. There could be a possibility for that, right?
100%.
It felt like that.
And it happens to the best brands. We have a blog on one of the major travel company. It's not a travel company, but like a TripAdvisor bookings of the world. So I guess it's a travel aggregator. Where one of our employees had planned to travel to Thailand in, I want to say, April 2020. We all know that nobody was traveling in April 2020 nowhere. But she got, the day that she was supposed to arrive in Thailand, she got a push notification saying, hi, welcome to Thailand. If you want, welcome to Bangkok. If you want to know what are the best seen places, pick your ticket. She had canceled this trip months ago because of COVID. And they simply had not either updated their data or they had her locked into a journey that says when this date comes, send her this push notification. Of course, she was mortified by that subject. It caused her to write a blog. You can find it in our blog. Again, I'm not going to trash brands in this podcast.
Absolutely. That's a great value to live with. So if that's your take, and I think I completely agree with what you just said, what are those personalization hacks or trends that have worked and you have noticed that over your tenure at Optimove?
100%. I think that It's having the ability to mix
Mm,
different data points.
mm,
And what I mean by that is that fortunately or unfortunately, depending where you stand in your preparation and your capabilities,
mm,
you cannot only say send this whatever to people who opened my email, or you can't say send this birthday offer to people whose birthday is today. Today, you have to be a bit more advanced in the way that you look at it. So you might want to send this birthday offer to people who visited my website in the last 2 weeks, and this birthday offer to people who have not bought since their last birthday because they only buy on their birthday.
mm,
You have to think about, how do I combine the different data points that we have? And data points should be transactional, right? Think, what do they purchase? What do they use? They should be behavioral. What have they seen? What do they visit? With what do they engage? And
mm,
maybe even you want to include some predictive, saying how, it could be risk of churn, it could be probability to convert, it could be the
mm.
future value of the customer. Any one of these different points, you want to always kind of like combine them together to create the secret sauce of personalization, quote unquote. Now, my opinion, for example, we talked a lot about B2C, and I know you want to talk a bit about B2B. So a
Mhm,
lot of what we do is we look at how are users using our product. And
mm,
based on that, we trigger campaigns. Now, we look, first of all, when we're thinking about a problem, we say, how does this product, feature, or capability, how should it be used by users at different stages of their own development? So a user who signed up yesterday has a very different need and understanding than a user who signed up maybe a year ago and is a constant user. And a user with profile X is different from profile Y. And this might sound obvious, but doing what we call life cycle based marketing is something that many, 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 many brands and companies around the world just do not
mm,
do. And when
mm,
you start
mm,
with
mm,
that layer, now put on top of it, what did they do? So the activity. They used this feature, they didn't use this feature. They clicked in, they didn't understand what they did, they left. Now, on top of that, put in some, what do they have? What type of package have they bought? What type of capabilities do they usually use? At the end of the day, when you put these one on top of the other, and you write and you think about the message to give them, that's going to be the most personalized and ideal message for that person. If you do this and you repeat it and you iterate and you test it and you improve it, you end up having a hyper personalized marketing strategy.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. In fact, I just want to take a minute before I step into the next question, is because what you said as a fellow marketer sort of validates the product design and the premise with which CustomFit has been created. All those data points, and I know you spoke about a lot of behavioral stuff related to B2C, but we also have sort of fit in a lot of firmographics and behavioral data points that people could pick and choose and craft their personalization journey, right? And when you were talking about journeys, it was sort of it was sort of recalling that there is such a critical need to define the journey, right? To explore that journey before you actually click the publish button or the launch button, right? That thinking through has to happen. And I guess it's not just with personalization, probably designing any campaign for that matter. That journey has to be thought through. And so interestingly, we also have sort of included that within the custom fit dashboard, where exclusively people can sort of first figure out how the journey has to be laid out, and then they can actually launch their personalized campaign, right?
And
So if I could go a little one step deeper into this whole personalization exercise, right? So at the face of it, we say we need customer segmentation, we need a lot of dimensions, we need analytics to for any kind of a personalization experience. But what, according to you, are those aspects that we don't see that goes into the campaign? And if you have any thoughts specific to the B2B space, love to hear.
I think that there's maybe the most important part of it is, or the most important aspect is the fact of knowing or understanding the state of mind of the recipient.
Hmm.
What did the person, and this is not about data points, it's a bit philosophical maybe, but what did the user who just tried to understand his customer's journey on your platform and couldn't, what did they feel? What did they need? What was missing to them? And the moment that and the only way of doing this, by the way, is one, looking at data, two, speaking to the user, three, experience it yourself, right? Try to, that's why we use Optimove. It's like we use Optimove so we know how our customers experience the product. I'm a user. My team are users. So when we try to communicate it, we communicate it as users. But once you understand that manner and that feeling that user had, you become a lot more empathetic to them. And something that gets lost in marketing and personalization, and goes back to doing customer-led marketing and not mapping journeys manually and kind of creating these monsters, journeys from hell, we call them, that will break and crossfire. A lot of it is just having emotional intelligence and understanding what your customer needs in that moment. There's a famous quote, it comes from Gartner research, that said that the best personalization is personalization that helps. There's personalization that is done just to prove that you know someone. So, hey, Ronnie, I know you buy blue jeans. Here's an offer for 50% off in your next blue jean purchase. I don't need a new blue jean. I can tell you that. My closet is full of them. You're not helping me. Helping me is, hey, I saw you were looking at this blue jean, which was out of stock, right? Let me give it to you. In B2B, that can translate to saying, hey, Ronnie, you are a user of our platform, right? And I want you to upsell you. And that's like, great. I know you have first tier, and I know that you have 20,000, that you've done 20,000 activities or whatever it is, 20,000 tasks you've set up in my task management platform. I want to upsell you. Here's an offer to upsell you. That's personalization telling me you know me. Well, personalization with emotional intelligence that comes to help you says, hey, I noticed you tried to do this. You didn't succeed. Here's how to succeed. The sell will come not because you push the person to do the upsell, but because the person sees value in having that extra feature, that extra capability, that extra product, and because the person wants to deepen the relationship with you. And I think that, the hidden aspect of personalization is that it's not only about looking at your data, creating your segments, having a kick-ass creative or copy, right? It's about understanding the pain that your customer is having, and how can you help solve that pain.
Awesome. So what I personally learned out of what you said just now is that personalization is not about stating facts. It's about using those facts to set a context that can help in selling value to the final consumer. I guess
I
that's
love it, and I want to steal it. Can I steal it?
absolutely. It's going on a public platform, so please go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I guess some of my content skills have, come to have been put to good use. So, when is the right timing? I guess we all harp about timing. So, when is the right timing to And also, probably if you could address a little bit on this, because you've dealt with so many brands, right? They say personalization is not for startups, it's not for enterprises, it's not for the growth companies. And we're here like, it can be used by anybody. So if you could tell us a little bit more about what is that right timing when personalization can be included into the marketing strategy or the mix, so to say.
So one, I think that it's not there's no silver bullet answer here. I think that each company will feel right when the moment comes. I think that the right moment has nothing to do with size of the
Mm,
company.
mm,
I will say, of course, if you just opened your startup yesterday, then you probably have to spend some time until you get there. But with that said, we have a lot of customers who come to us and want to have the Optimove platform from day one. Meaning they have no historical data to give. They just want to
mm,
start accumulating their data and building their marketing plans with Optimove. And we have customers at the other end of the spectrum who've been around for years and years and years, and they
mm,
want to take the next step in personalization and in scaling their personalization. I think that it's more a frame of mind, and it's a moment where you say, as a marketer, you come and you say, I want to do better for my customers. I want to be more in touch with them. I want to understand them better. I need more access to their direct access to their data. I need more direct insights into
mm,
them, and I want to build my campaigns based on those insights. So I
mm,
don't think really it's a matter of the size. I think that enterprises that are traditionally, they have their 3 journeys or their 4 journeys, and then a few ad hoc campaigns here and there, and that's it for the year. They're leaving a lot of value on the table simply for
mm,
not embracing personalization. And personalization, again, is a super wide term.
mm,
They might be saying, well, I do web personalization. You log in, and then my website kind of like changes based on what you're seeing and based on your profile and whatnot. But are you doing personalization across channels? And are you doing connected personalization that provides this kind of like aspect of what we call symmetric messaging, that you see
mm,
the same personalized message in any channel and any interaction with that brand? So enterprises can learn. Startups that are just starting and saying, well, I don't want to start going down the wrong path. I want to start with hyper personalization. Then it's great. Look
mm,
at what are the value drivers. What's your North Star metric? And then from there, cut back to what are the behaviors that lead to that North Star metric. And then what are the pain points that impede those behaviors, right? And once you get to those, now start creating content for each one of those behaviors. As you grow, you'll create new users who might have different pain points. And that way you will always start building that pyramid that leads to that scale of personalization. So I think that both ends of the spectrum are okay, and obviously in the middle, right? We just,
mm.
they're somewhere there.
Yeah. So it's interesting what I hear from you is that, and this thought just came while you were sharing your thoughts, is that, I mean, once you decide you have to implement personalization, you would anyway go ahead and do that. But it looks like even as a precursor to personalization, you can think of a campaign in that direction and try to sort of implement personalization just to test waters, right? And I guess there's no right timing to it, so to say, and we don't have to align that with the size, definitely. So here's a tricky question and probably a funny one. We're sort of coming to the closing of it. If you had to go back in a time machine and tell 20 or 25-year-old Ronnie, who knows he would be a product marketer, what would be those 5 skills that you would ask him to hone? Any
That, the first thing that I tell him is work with different people.
Mm,
So 5 years ago, I'm a bit old in the tooth. So 10 years ago, I was in the university, and you tend to have this aspect of you found your niche, you found your group, and you want to do all the work and all the assignments with that same group.
mm,
If you want to be in product marketing and you want to be successful, you're going to end up working with very, very different audiences. You're going to talk to users, you're going to collaborate with sales, with customer success, with R&D, with product, and with marketing, obviously, as well. Each one of these functions has people who are very similar, but also very different. The more diverse your background in working with people from diverse backgrounds, the better you will be out. So that would be the first one. The second one would be to take some public speaking classes. I never did it, but I'm also an extrovert, so I don't. I definitely learned some tricks. I hear myself stumbling over words as we speak for over the last few 20, 30 minutes. But I think that having the ability to articulate what you're thinking through words and in spoken language is something that most of us believe we can do, but when you're standing in front of an audience, or in this case, you're recording it for an audience,
Yeah.
it's more difficult than you think. That'd be number two. Number three would be the ability to write.
Hmm.
You have to be able, as product marketers, to take very sometimes abstract, complex technological terms and capabilities, and translate them to something that the simple person in the street could understand. Some call it the grandma test. Is what you're
Mm-hmm.
explaining, could you explain it to your grandmother and your grandmother would understand what the heck you're talking about? Um,
I was
and
just
for
gonna
that,
say, speak to a 10-year-old.
speak to a 10-year-old is also a great way of thinking about it. The fourth one would be probably make sure to attend your statistic classes, your Excel, your data analysis. We talked here ad nauseum about how to look into data, understand what the customer is feeling, understand what was the behavior that drove it, right? And how do you slice and dice your data and analyze your data to take
Mm,
insights from it.
mm,
That's true every single time that you're doing a project for product marketing. And it could be a projection of how this product is going to do in the
mm,
market. It could be an understanding of how the product did once released. It could be a planning of your customer lifecycle marketing and understanding what are the inflection points that you want to hit. Five is a difficult one because we're running out of themes to talk about. But I think at the end of the day, and this is probably a cop out on my end, but I think that it's super important. I tell them to just take meditation classes. Product marketing is a stressful environment. There's
mm,
always a lot of work on your plate. We always talk about our plates being full as if I would be in a buffet and I hadn't eaten for 2 days, which is usually what
mm,
happens when I know I'm going to go to a buffet. But you have to be able to block aside the angst and the stress that a full plate generates
mm,
on in tech, and especially in startups where things move so fast that what you did last week might not be relevant anymore, or what you put out, got terrible feedback. You have to be able to block that out and just say, okay, I understand. I'm going to be better next time. I understand. I'm going to be more focused. And I think that meditation is something that can help in that. I use Headspace to meditate, a very popular app. Um,
mm,
and again, it's just something that helps you be a bit more centered and a bit more kind of like be able to calm yourself down in the stressful
mm,
moments that
mm.
you will have as a product marketer. Because I don't know one single product marketer who said, "No, life's a breeze. No stress here." So I think those would be the five.
Awesome. I just love the way, and I'm glad we chose a number called five because you sort of started with, skills required to have great relationships, better communication, right from having an analytic mindset to a little bit of soul searching. So it was literally like touching upon a body, mind, and soul, and then also the environment and ecosystem around. So that's pretty much summing it up all together. It's interesting because I can completely correlate with it, because even at CustomFit, we sort of hold group meditation sessions as a part of the workday so that we don't go berserk with all the startup madness, right? And just like you anchor with an app like Headspace, I use Calm. And I can totally connect with, when you said we need to use meditation. It was awesome to have you, Rony. I know what it means to take off 30 to 40 minutes out of your crazy day and, help out fellow marketers. And we're a startup, but I'm glad we were able to share thoughts with each other. If you have something to share as on a last note, we'd love to hear that.
I just want to thank you for the initiative. Thank you for the invite. I think that you guys are doing a service to the broader community of marketers by having these kind of conversations. And to anybody out there who's listening and wants to learn more about Optimove or about product marketing, just wants to reach out, feel free to reach out to me. I imagine that my name will be published with the episode, so I won't be difficult to find, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for staying around.
Yeah,